All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back onto the podcast for another appearance, Fern Halper. She is the Vice President and Senior Research Director for Advanced Analytics here with us at TDWI. Very excited to talk with her again. We're going to talk today about AI readiness. Before we jump into everything, Fern, how are you doing? Thank you so much for your time today.
I'm great. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to talk with you. I mean, it's been a little while since you've been on the podcast. I mean, you're obviously a very frequent guest of mine because all of your knowledge and expertise. So I'm excited to have you back on. And AI readiness, I think, is going to be a great topic for us and for our audience because everyone's probably assuming that they might be AI ready. They may have already taken steps to prove that, or may have actually found out in taking those steps that they're not actually quite ready for AI. So I do want to start, Fern, with, if you can kind of frame it for us, what do you mean by AI readiness? And then if you can tell us a little bit about the assessment, that would be great.
Sure. So, of course, AI is on everyone's mind. And with the advent of generative AI, there's a lot of pressure on organizations to get ready for AI. And, it's interesting because we've seen things in our surveys where generative AI will actually rank higher than machine learning as a priority for for organizations. Of course, self-service and those sorts of things is still priorities, but a top priority in 2024 was generative AI. And I found that interesting because I think that it's important to put a data foundation in place and get experience with machine learning before you start building generative AI applications, in organizations. I think a lot of them are starting to see that it's not just sort of easy peasy, prompt interface and you built a generative AI application. Organizations want to use it against their own data. So that means their data foundation needs to be in place. So, we thought it would be really interesting given that generative AI has also sort of gotten people thinking of AI in general, some more traditional, machine learning, natural language processing, those sorts of technologies. So I thought it would be very timely to put an AI readiness assessment together. And so we did that a couple months ago. And the way we thought about AI readiness, wasn't just around, do you have algorithms in place? We were really thinking about 5 different dimensions for AI readiness. We were thinking about, was the organization ready for AI? So did you have executives who support AI ready, getting ready for AI? Do you have the funding? Do you have the resources? Do you have the right culture, in place? Is it something, that people are going to gather around? And then, is your data ready for AI? Do you have the right platforms in place to deal with diverse data that's going to be part of AI, not just structured, but unstructured data too? What does that data foundation look like? Are you operationally ready for AI? Because, once you start building these models, they're going to go into production, presumably, and you're going to have be ready operationally, having teams in place and whatnot. Skills readiness, obviously, do you have the right skills? Do people know how to use? Are they familiar with the algorithms? Can they make use of the algorithms? If you're going to be developing applications, do they have the skills for that? Because a lot of organizations want to build apps with AI. And then, of course, you have to be able to govern the whole thing. So do you have data governance in place for it? Are you prepared from an AI governance perspective? Are you even thinking about issues that are important for AI, like ethics and the responsible use of AI and bias and all of that? So we sort of wrapped the whole thing together and created this assessment that consists of about 75 questions that people can answer and get a score to see how ready they actually are.
Well, that's great. I mean, and it sounds pretty comprehensive. And I think it's probably a great exercise for any company or organization, enterprise, that is either already on their journey or even, looking to start, right? I would ask, do you think there's a, specific type of, role that we're looking for people to fill this out, or does it can anyone that is working within this industry go ahead and fill it out with their own, information?
Yeah, I think that anyone who knows where their organization is in terms of AI can fill it out and see sort of where they stand.
Yeah. And so you listed a whole bunch of, categories within the assessment. I'm curious, Fern, as far as like the most important areas for AI readiness. I know obviously, each one of
They're
those
all ready.
categories.
They're all important. Yeah.
Yeah, but if there is one that, that sticks out in your mind, maybe one or two that really tend to be the most important potentially, what might those be?
I think that you need the data readiness and you need the skills readiness, because certainly you need the organizational readiness, but what we see is that the scores were pretty high in organizational readiness. Executives were on board, they were excited about it, they wanted to sort of push a culture of innovation. Um, but what the executives didn't necessarily understand is that you need, a data foundation in place, for it. You need the skills, all of the stuff that that is necessary, but may not be what executives necessarily think about.
Hmm. And I'm curious for, I mean, like, so data readiness to me sounds like it could mean a lot to a lot of different people. I'm assuming data quality's got to be on the top of the list. This is something that I hear a lot. We've done a lot of different content on TDWI recently, and it's a topic that I feel like has never been irrelevant, data quality. But it seems like in this particular area, before you take any sort of step towards especially generative AI, but AI in general, data quality seems to be of the utmost importance, maybe more than ever.
I think so, and I think it's harder in some
Mm,
ways. I mean, you have the garbage in, garbage out, um, and that's an issue. But you also have the fact that you're dealing with new kinds of data that organizations aren't used to dealing with. And how do they know if however they vectorized an image or text or whatever, how do they know that the quality of that is good? I mean, these are things that people now, have to think about it. So I think that's really important. So, um, organizations have certainly made the move to cloud platforms, which are useful for data readiness, like cloud data warehouses and cloud um, data lakes. They have multi-platform environments, but they haven't necessarily, achieved the maturity in those platforms to be completely AI ready. And part of that is because of, dealing with data quality. So that's,
yeah,
it's always a big issue. And we always see that when we run surveys that organizations aren't that satisfied with their data quality. And it's just a continuous journey. It's like governance, of which data quality is a big part.
sure. This brings up a question that I'm curious about just in thinking about this, talking with you here. Maybe it's the cart before the horse thing, but can you use AI to help your data become more data, like more ready for AI? Does that make sense? Like, can you use AI to help clean up your data, or provide better quality data?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that makes me think about when I was at Bell Labs a long time ago, and I was using machine learning algorithms um, to analyze data. And I said, well, I'm going to use these machine learning algorithms to actually find out if there's problems with the data. And so I was able to do that, much to the surprise of the people who were running the data center at the time, and other people, because I said, there's a lot of problems, not a lot, but I mean, there are problems with this or whatever. And they were surprised. But yeah, so now, so many years later, or vendors are infusing their tools with AI, with machine learning algorithms and other algorithms to be able to automatically detect if there's problems with data. I think it's much more with structured data than
Mm,
unstructured data at this point. And that's actually the biggest area that we see organizations using automated tools for. It's for data quality management, just because it's such a big issue. And the garbage in, garbage out, adage rings true all these many years later. And, as much as things change, they remain the same. So it's the same issue as it was when I was at Bell Labs, and I won't tell you how many years ago that was.
No, but it's true. I mean, it does seem like these topics are evergreen as the industry might change and move in different directions. So, it sounds like you alluded to some preliminary results there, Fern. How long has the assessment been out? Are we already getting some results? And what are those results that you're able to share with us?
Yes, the assessment has been out for at least a month or so now, and the results were actually I was surprised on some of the results. So what we did was, we asked a bunch of questions across those 5 categories that I talked about. And then based on your score, so each category is worth 20 points. So 20 times 5, that's 100 points. So when you finish taking the assessment, you actually see a report that has what your overall score is, and then what your score is in each dimension, so that data readiness and the organizational readiness and so on. And so with the data that we've collected so far, so I don't expect this to change much, the overall median score for all enterprises taking the assessment was 62 out of 100. And you may say 62, that's not good. But actually, I was surprised because we do a lot of assessments, and we've done data governance assessments, data quality assessments, data literacy assessments, advanced analytics assessment. And I always feel like the score is always 53 out of 100. So now this score is 62 out of 100. So that was actually higher than I thought it was going to be. And it actually put, we have these different stages of readiness. And so there's a guide that goes along with this assessment, but we actually go from sort of a pre-embarking on AI, where people are still just basically in the self-service data visualization stage, to transformative. And then, there are different stages in between. And the stage that they're at was stage 3 out of 5, which was standardizing. So that was, where they're putting the strategy in place. They may have some preliminary use cases. Leadership is on board. They understand the impact that AI can have. And but even though they may not have invested the money, but they understand, and that they typically do have some sort of data platform, like a data warehouse or data lake in place. And a lot of them are in the cloud, and so they're starting to get a handle on managing their data, and they may even be starting to build a predictive model. So that actually jives with what we've seen in our research, where organizations are either on the cusp. Well, someone's trying to call me. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Who are like actually on the cusp for in predictive analytics and starting to make use of these technologies. We see like a 50-50 split. So I guess I was surprised when I saw 62 as opposed to 53, because I was expecting to see the 53. But really, this is what organizations are moving towards. So, it makes sense that they should be making some progress, at least.
Yeah, I'm curious too if the old adage, the rising tide lifts all boats. Like maybe all the efforts is specific that energy and effort and excitement around AI is also maybe rising the levels of the other sides of things. I mean, because as you say, you've done assessments in the past on different aspects, and it's a little surprising to me to hear that this particular assessment would be almost 10 points higher. And it almost feels backwards to me a little bit that they might be score a 53 in one assessment, like data quality, for instance, and then a 63 in AI. So maybe do you think there's a chance that the focus on AI is helping that for companies to kind of really tap into the rest of what they need as far as we're talking about AI readiness goes?
Yeah, I think that what we routinely see in our surveys is that getting data ready for advanced analytics is a top priority for organizations. That's, it's really what they're trying to do for data and analytics, in the data and analytics world. I don't know that's the top priority for every organization, but, this is in the data and analytics space. It's a top priority. So they're putting, focus on it. The biggest area of investment for data management this year is cloud data warehouses, so they're really, trying to do this. Like they scored high in, I would say that they scored higher in sort of organizational and data readiness, and then lower in skills readiness
Mm,
because, they have the data people, they're putting their data platforms in place, but, they still need to up the ante, in terms of some of the skills that they need, to actually make this happen. So skills were some of the lower scores on this. So I don't know if they were statistically, significantly different, but there was, like a 2 point difference out of 20, 10% difference. So, at least on some of these preliminary results. So I think that, that's a big area that organizations need to focus on if they're going to, think that they're AI ready, even if their data foundation is starting to be, you know, put in place.
yeah, I think the skill side of things is something that we hear a lot about, and I think it's a seems like a difficult task to either upskill current employees or to find, maybe even more difficult to find those that already have the skills that we're talking about in this specific area. Do you think that's going to be a kind of I don't know, bottleneck for a lot of these organizations when it comes to, any sort of advancement to the next phases that you talked about?
Yeah, yeah, we've heard that it is a problem, especially, some places will attract, data scientists, data engineers, more easily than others. Some parts of the country, it's easier than in other parts of the country. And, there's this move to upskill data analysts to do more of the work, which certainly could work. They understand the business, they understand data. It's a matter of upskilling them. I don't have enough information to know if that strategy is working or not. It seems to be sort of middle of the road. A lot of organizations will say it's too early to know,
Hmm.
if that's working. And then, of course, it's not just data scientists, like I was saying, like you need data engineers, you need those ops people, and so those skills are expensive skills. So,
Yeah.
they have to know how to program in certain languages. They have to, understand if you're in the on the operations side, you have to be able to know whether like a model's failing and then, you know, get it get it up and running again. There's got to be a lot of collaboration among, different parts of the organization to make it work. So yeah, it's an issue.
Hmm. Well, so I think the assessment's still up and available for folks. Can people still go out and take this assessment, and where can they do that?
Yes, it's still available. If you go to the TDWI website and then go under research and resources, you'll see on the drop down, it says maturity models, and then it says new. So the new there is the AI readiness assessment. And so you could take that. You can also, if you're interested, take the data quality assessment. I think, that's still up there. And um, there are other assessments up there as well. So yeah, we definitely encourage people to do that. It's a good high level sort of view to see if you're ready or not. I mean, it doesn't replace doing your own assessment, your own like 2 week assessment or however long it will take, to actually figure it out. But, it's a good directional indicator.
Yeah, I just went to the page now, and you're right. We have a data quality maturity model assessment, a data management maturity model, and an analytics maturity model assessment all up on that page right now. Of course, the AI readiness one is first and foremost on the list. But I would encourage anyone that's listening here to go ahead and take a look at that. And if you have some time, dive into all of those if you'd like. Well, Fern, any closing thoughts from you on this before I let you go?
Yeah, I guess I would just say what I said, every, a lot of executives want to jump on the AI bandwagon, and there's pressure on organizations to figure out, what to do. But the reality is that unless you have your data foundation in place, it's going to be very difficult to do anything, and not to mention, having the right skills and the right culture and everything else. So, we're already seeing a lot of AI projects failing. So, and in the generative AI space, and the number one of the reasons is, or a top reason is because people didn't think about how they were going to access their data. because they're trying to build, even chatbots with their company data. They just didn't they didn't think it through. They may have not had experience, or they didn't have the skills, whatever, but, it really makes sense to try to plan ahead and do something that has business value and make sure that you can actually execute on it.
Well, that's fantastic, and it's always a pleasure talking with you, Fern. I do appreciate your time, and I know we'll be talking again soon here. And for anyone out there that again that's interested, tdwi.org is where you can go and click on our research and resources tab. You'll find our maturity model assessment within that drop-down menu. Please go ahead and take a minute and fill it out, and we really appreciate you doing that and giving us some insight into how the industry is looking right now. It's fantastic for us to get a sneak peek at that. So again, thanks so much, Fern, for your time. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you guys all in a couple weeks. To subscribe to the Speaking of Data podcast, or to learn more about TDWI's research and training on all things data management and analytics, visit tdwi.org or click the link in the description below. Thanks for tuning in.